Do you feel powerless, unseen, unheard, unvalued? Are you living an inauthentic life driven by the expectations and demands of others? A life dictated by your past, your wounds, your scars? Well, it's time to break free. Join Ellie Shefi and her special guests as they guide you on a journey to leave the chains of your past behind and step into a life of your own design. Welcome to You Are Not Your Scars. Here is your host, Ellie.
Hello and welcome. Today's guest is an international best-selling author, speaker, collaborator, coach, and facilitator who is on a mission to connect heart-centered entrepreneurs, healers, leaders, and world changers with those who need them the most. Driven to help others unlock and embrace their greatness, she produces events, workshops, and programs that inspire, empower, elevate, and unite. She is a dedicated philanthropist, passionate about the education and empowerment of women, and she works tirelessly to help women heal from their childhood trauma so that they can fearlessly go forth into a life they love. Welcome, Debbie Prediger. So tell us, how did this journey start for you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And just hearing that introduction, it's like you're talking about somebody else. But in reality, it is all who I am and what I do. So I loved it. Now, how did it start for me? I don't know where to go to where it actually started, because did it start at birth? But I'm going to start at the place that I was a little girl who was sick and ended up in a hospital, hours and hours away from home, away from family, and very scared. Had no idea what was going on, but I fell in love with nursing. I fell in love with helping others. I fell in love with making a difference. And that led me into, passionately becoming a nurse. And then that led to burnout. I was in a life of helping and doing for others. In fact, once I went through the burnout and the whole downward spiral where my body actually shut down, that's when I realized that I was actually trapped in that do it for others mode. That's the only way that I felt worthy or lovable. And it had been a pattern that went back. And that's why I said, I don't really know where it started.
Would you say that moment that you realized that you were pouring into everyone else and doing for everyone else and taking care of everyone else and not taking care of yourself or not doing for yourself, not filling your own cup, would you say that realization was really a pivotal moment on your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. It is what's taken me to this moment for sure. Mm-hmm. It is me coming from that empowered place versus like doing. And it's also what makes me so relatable to so many people.
Mm-hmm. Take me into your head and into your heart when you had that aha moment. And then take me through the process, because you mentioned that now you're coming from that empowered place. So take me through that process, that internal dialogue, and the steps that you took to break that pattern that you've mentioned, that cycle. Because I think so many people have that pattern and that cycle where they do and they give. And so what was that like for you? What worked for you? What was that emotional journey? Take us into that. Paint the scene.
Well, like most people, it happened because my body shut down. Like something had to change. So I was doing and I was just pushing forward and I was not recognizing the pain my body had. And then eventually my body just shut down and wouldn't continue. And through all of those doctor's appointments, all of those specialist appointments, all of those searching, they've literally come back and said, it's in your head. There's nothing wrong with you. We can't find anything wrong. And I knew at that moment.
What did that feel like? What did that feel like hearing when as a nurse?
Yeah.
And so you're working around hospitals and doctors all the time for years at that point. What was that like, hearing the doctors tell you that there was nothing physically wrong with you even
Yeah.
though you had been in pain, even though your body had shut down?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it went into like a hopeless place. Like, this is going to be my life, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, no, line in the sand. There is a better way. There is an answer, and I'm going to go for it. So it really did become that empowerment. Now, at the beginning, I had no idea what to do, right? So I was just searching. But I took it back into my own hands, and I stopped allowing other people to tell me if I was in pain, to tell me if I should take this pill or do this thing. I just took my power back and said, I need to listen to my body. But I had no idea where to start with that.
Right. So you made a decision, and that was step one, right? That's for our audience, because I think so many people are going through what you've described. And so step one was to make that decision. And
it
then
was, but I feel like, Ellie, I'm sorry, but I feel like step one is awareness. Until we get our head out of the, like, we're on autopilot, we're doing what everybody else tells us to do. We haven't stopped to listen to ourselves and our inner knowing and our intuition and our bodies.
Absolutely.
I believe we have the answers within. So until I actually come off of autopilot and listened, that was the awareness. And once I was aware of what was actually happening in my body, I actually started feeling the pain, because I was at the place I was numb. My body shut down because I was in so much pain, I was numb. Mm-hmm. And when you're numb physically, you're also numb emotionally. Yes. So I had to come back to a place where I was actually feeling and could understand. And then the journey of learning. Mm-hmm. Like energy and flow and blockages and your brain and your gut connection and your heart space opening up and all of those things. That's when I decided that I could go down a different path.
Absolutely. I loved your point about stopping, going inward, and becoming aware. That is, I think, especially over the last 2 years, where by and large, people have been in survival mode or pivoting or scrambling or just trying to get through one day into the next. I think that's a really powerful reminder that you know what is best for you when you stop, go inward, and listen. So thank you for that reminder. And I'm so glad that that was really the foundation of your journey. And then you mentioned you didn't know where to start, and you began the process of education. So what did it look like for you to seek out information, to seek out mentors, to seek out communities, to seek out the answers or the places where you could find the answers? What was that like?
Well, I come from a really small town. So at the very beginning, it was books, and then eventually online courses, because remember, that wasn't really a thing. And I couldn't travel to do this. So I really felt like I was diving into a world that within 2 hours of me, didn't exist. And what it really looked like is, once I became aware and I started using my intuition, I was picking people, books, themes that aligned with me. It was like the light just went on. A flashlight is like, go here. So follow the breadcrumbs. And I constantly started following. And that just took me through this journey of different books, different mentors, aligning with somebody that spoke. And everything that aligned to me was energy, frequency, vibration, blockages, your body, how your body is meant to work. So Chinese medicine. And the reframe was that I had to stop thinking about it as if a pill would fix, right? Like, you remember, I came from the nursing background where if something's broken, then this is the fix. So I had to stop and really reframe as like, what is the blockage? What is this meant to show us? What am I missing here? So for me, very quickly, it went back to emotions. What is the emotion I'm feeling? Am I feeling it? Is it something that I want to feel or don't want to feel? Because if it feels like it's like sitting like an elephant on your chest, that's obviously something that's ready to be released. And through my training and through all of my education, it was like, well, that's your heart space. So you might have a heart wall up, or it's your lungs where it's grief.
So how did you learn to identify the emotions with the feelings. So for example, if you just referenced feeling that weight on your chest, how did you learn to identify that in your body that meant a heart wall? Or what was that process of tuning into your body and putting the label or the association to the feelings?
Again, it comes back to intuition. And so at first it was like I knew, but I didn't trust. And then I started finding leaders and books and courses that actually taught me this thing. So one of the books, because I use essential oils to release the limbic system when it's locked up into fight or flight. And so that led me down a path of finding which body parts are associated with which essential oil to use. And then it also helped me learn more about, if we have, it's kind of like that Chinese medicine acupuncture. So I literally put a piece of this and a piece of this and a piece of that, and then brought it together with my intuition. But honestly, it took a long time for me to recognize that that was a gift that I had, that I could feel within myself, but I also can do that with clients. I can hear their objection or their struggle, and I can know where they're in their body they have a blockage.
So you raised two important points that I want to circle back to. You mentioned that at first you didn't trust. How did you build trust with yourself? How did you overcome that self-doubt and that lack of trust?
Practice. So I started challenging myself, both with myself, and then I got a trusted group of friends, and we would really tap into our intuition and our knowing. And it was like a game at first, but then I soon realized that I actually had very strong powers. And I don't want to say that as in too woo-woo or too powers as in magic, but learning to trust that I had the answers within is what unleashed everything for me, because I no longer looked outside of me for the answers. I actually stopped even looking for my circle of friends for my answers.
Yeah.
I might test that a little bit where it's like, I know that I know that I know. And then I would go back and I would, have a conversation, and they'd be, Debbie, and you're so much more powerful than you're giving yourself credit for. So it took time, but it was a daily, several times a day practice.
So would you say you developed a routine or a habit, a practice, as you call it? Would you say that that was really critical to not only developing your ability to get still and to go within, your ability to hear and recognize that intuition, and to build the trust that you had with yourself?
Absolutely, 100%. And thank you for bringing that up, because again, it's awareness and then choice. And in the choice is that you choose constantly to stay in this place of empowerment, of empowered emotion. So first of all, what is that emotion that you want? So I wake up in the morning and I no longer check off my to-do list. I go through my gratitude list. So what am I grateful for? So I really can get in that empowered state right away. And nowadays I wake up in that empowered state. So it's no longer. But then from that point, it's what is the emotion that I intend to have today? So for my three top emotions are always love, peace, and joy. And so it's like, I'm going to be so lovable that I'm going to attract all those people that are searching for love, right? I'm going to bring peace into everybody's day today. So that's the intention. That's the ritual. That's the practice. And then from that time, I actually have an app on my phone, which I found very good because I can get into that doer mode. And that app on my phone reminds me every hour. It just gives me a little bit of an affirmation or a mantra. And then I'm like, yep, it's a check-in point. Yes, I am in that. If I'm not, I stop what I'm doing right then and I listen. Like, what is it? Am I out of alignment somewhere? Am I back into that pushing and doing? Am I people pleasing? What is it that is knocking me out of where I want to be?
Can you share that app for our audience? Because I think having that reminder for that pause, that breath, that check-in in the busyness of our day today would be super helpful. So what is that app?
The app is called I Am. I Am. And
I am.
It really goes back to my philosophy. is that we are the creator of our life. We get to choose what life on our terms looks like, not from an ego place, my way or the highway, but from that place of empowerment. What would I love? What would I love to design? What would that emotion be when I'm at that place? And so I have it, you can set it on different themes. So maybe it's just health and wellness, or maybe it's in a theme of something else. And I set it on that until I'm ready to change it. And then that reminder comes in, and it's, I am peaceful now that I've found blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, it's just that check-in point. And find what works for you. Some people literally make their own mantra up and have it as an alarm on their phone as a check-in, but whatever works for you is the thing that you're meant to do. And I think that that's what people miss out on. So many people, again, are going back to the external of, my mentor told me I must do this. And I struggled with that for a long time, Ellie, because it didn't align with me. Some of it did. And that's why I was going through different books and different people. But I have to piece it together until it's me. And now this is my signature way of doing it. But I don't tell any of my clients how they should feel or think. I help them remember that they have the power to do this. And that, first of all, they must be aware of what they are feeling and then choose what they want to feel.
That is so empowering and so insightful. So I want to dig into that just a little bit deeper, because you've referenced a few times, that this is your gift, that you have this intuition. And what I want to make sure we really dive into is your point that everyone has this, that when you are aware and you stop and you go within, you can create the routine, the practice of tuning in, of being present within yourself, of being aware of what you're thinking and feeling and desiring, and then be able to make the choice and step into creation of what would I love. And so when you're working with clients who come to you and who are just looking for answers, and they're clinging to you initially because they think, oh, I can't do that. I don't have that gift. I don't have any intuition. I don't know. What is she talking about? Oh, the gift within, the answers are within. I don't have any of that. What do you say to them, and how do you guide them out of that limiting belief and into the alignment so that they can create a life they love and a life that's free by design?
Oh, I love that you asked this question. So if they're still really not aware, exactly what you just said, I get them into my circles and into my masterminds. That's my first step. So if we don't have a relationship yet and they heard something from me that they're like, there's something here, but I need to know more, get inside my free Empowering You community and learn more about me. Build that like, know, and trust. Know that I'm here to serve you. This is what it's all about. But if you're ready, and I want you to actually say you're ready, because that commitment is to you, not just to me. And so if you're ready for the next thing, I have empowerment circles where it is all about this kind of thing of reflecting. We come up with a theme, we talk about it, and that's very guided by my intuition of what the circle needs that day. And then we have discussion about it. So it's amazing. I've never had anybody leave a circle that didn't feel 100% better. Like, I came in with this emotion and I'm leaving with this. Those are the 2 check-in points that we do. And everything else is just happens because of who's in the group. It's the energy of the circle. And it's always about empowerment. So if your story is very limiting and very distracting, no, we pull you back and we're like, what do you choose? What do you want? We can observe and reflect and understand where an old story is coming from, but we don't want to live in that old story. We want to allow that to be released. And that's the empowering part, is I can come in feeling really hopeless or even completely lost. But that's just to recognize, that's just an awareness point, right? And then we move through the circle. And at the end, you get to do another check-in, and it's whoa, I feel so empowered. I feel so hopeful. I feel so whatever it is. And then we anchor that in. Okay, this is where you started. This is where you ended. This is your choice moving forward. So it's really an awareness tool and a practice to help them get back into touch with what they're feeling. As I said, a lot of my clients come to me, they're numb. They're like, feeling, I don't know what that is anymore.
So what is one practical tool or resource or practice that you give your clients who are feeling held back by their limiting beliefs or by their paradigms or by the inner critic that's telling them, oh, they can't change or they can't grow or any of those kind of things? What's a tangible tactic or tool that you give to move them through that belief?
Okay, well, it's again simple. Awareness first. You have to be aware of what it is, choice, and then action. So the awareness is like being still, like you went into doer mode, let's get still. What am I feeling? What am I telling myself? So for me in my sessions, it's what's the negative chatter you're hearing in your ear. So awareness of what you're hearing. And then when you hear it, how does that make you feel? And where in your body? It's just a check-in. How does that make you feel? And what do you want to feel? What is that emotion you want to feel? So then it's really becomes like, at first it becomes this big story, but eventually it just becomes a boom, boom, boom. So what is the tactical thing that I can say? It's again, breathing. We have to breathe because in order for us to actually release anything that is stuck in our body, even if we're aware of it or not, we have to allow it to flow. So it's kind of like that river. We can't go out and dam up the river. We have to open up the river so that everything can flow and that emotion can process through you. So once you're aware of the negative chatter that's happening in your ear, what is it that you want to feel? What is it you want to think? So if the negative chatter was saying, you can't do that, you've tried that before, the new shift would be like an I am statement where I am powerful and I get to choose, or I control my thoughts, or whatever it is that you want it, but in an I am statement. So you're always recognizing the limiting belief or the paradigm and then flipping it to the empowered. It becomes a really easy pattern once you've done this over and over again. Remember, it's a habit and a pattern that keeps us locked into the old, where it's an excuse or a victim mode. When we recognize that our emotions are just there to help us recognize where we can grow, they're there to happen for us, whether it's anger or fear or I'm not enough. Nobody is asking you to stay stuck in those emotions. Just use them as a jumping off point of this is where I am. And then what do I choose? And for me, it's always choose the emotion, because the how is going to come when you're following that emotion, when you're literally like tuned into it and ready and just following that emotion. Love. I choose love. Okay. So what can you do today that would really embrace that love, that feeling of love? So every cell in your body is activated in that emotion.
Wow, that is such powerful advice to our listeners. And so what's the most powerful advice that anyone has given you?
Definitely Tony Robbins saying life is happening for you. It's not happening to you. There is times that I can spiral downwards into, oh, why did I even think this was possible? I knew things were going to go back, right? Whatever, something that can spiral me into that limiting belief system. And I have to just stop, pause, breathe, and hear his words. Life is happening for you. And there is always a lesson. There's always something good about this. And I know that some of the listeners right now are saying, you don't understand. This happened to me and it wasn't good. And I get it because I've been there. I've had a lot of things happen. But when I look back now, I can see that it's all part of who I am today. And when I'm aligned in my purpose and my values and my belief system, and I'm listening to my inner knowing, I'm totally in that flow state. I know that who I was designed to be is who I am. It's when I get out of alignment that I'm trying to be somebody I'm not.
Yeah. That's also life happens for you, not to you, is one of my North Stars as well. So I love that we are aligned in that. Mm-hmm. Now, you wear a lot of different hats. You do a lot of things. I'm curious, of all the roles that you play, which is most important to you and why?
Ooh, definitely being a mother and a grandmother. Like that role is why I do everything else I do. Whew. I want the world to be that better place. I want the world to be so filled with love, peace, and joy. And for all of my children, grandchildren, everybody to understand that they have a choice in life, that life isn't meant to be endured, it's meant to be lived and to thrive. And when you can really line up with what you love, what is your mission? What is your purpose? What is your magic? What is all of those things? When you come from that empowered place, anything is possible. I've proven it. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I believe it with everything in my being. And I just want all of the people to also see that. We were all designed with greatness right within us. The first time I heard that, I bawled. So it was obviously something that I was meant to hear. It was a message that I had probably been pushing away. When you hear that whisper in your ear, but you listen to it, there was something on the flip side of that message in my ear. And I think it was that you were designed with greatness. And I want everybody to know that. So it lights me up to see somebody that really has starting to discover that greatness or that mission or that purpose within them. And it all comes with that first start. Who am I? Who am I really? What lights me up? When am I at my best? Or when am I just in auto mode doing what I think I'm supposed to do because the world or my parents or my spouse or my kids are telling me who to be? And there's so much more to you than that. And I want my kids and my grandkids to know that, but I definitely want the rest of the world to know that as well.
I love that. So I was going to ask you what your mission and your purpose is, but I think it's pretty clear by how you just light up when you are just speaking. What a powerful driver you have, that why that fuels you with your children and your grandchildren, and that really fueling your drive to help people live the life that they love. So magical. So what was it like the first time that you witnessed that unfolding, that awakening of one of your clients, and you saw them choose and step into their greatness?
Wow. Thank you for taking me back to that. It's definitely so empowering to myself as well, but it literally was going from this, I can't do it. So we were going through an Empowering You session, which is about an hour long, and I take them through that. What I first talked about is what is that thing you want? Why are you here? What is that struggle you're having that you want? So I always flip it into, what are you choosing? So the empowered statement of I am, how possible does that feel? It's a 2. It's not possible at all. I will never get there. So then that's the negative chatter. So I'm not going to take you through all of that, but it was something that was very disempowering. They had zero hope. And then as the session progressed, it went up to a 3 and then a 6. And then boom, it went up to a 10. Not only is this possible, I'm doing it, I'm stepping into it. And then that's when we flip it and we anchor that emotion in. And then we come up with an action plan of how are we going to get that from that empowered state of I can do anything and anything is possible. What are the actions today, this week, and this month that you need to step into? And witnessing that unfolding in an hour and then witnessing over the next month what that person did, it was invigorating and empowering. And I knew that I had something. So again, we go back to all of those little pieces. The limiting belief I was telling myself at one time is that I was distracted and that I couldn't stay focused on one mentor. But I now know that it was I needed to hear a little piece of this and a little piece of that until it just boom, yes, Debbie, you finally listened to all the wisdom you already had in you and you've put it together into the signature program. And now look what you can do. It's like I was given a magic wand and the people that I go through this session are just like amazed with what just happened. I've been in counseling for years, or I've had this type of thing for years. What did you just do? And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I held space for you and facilitated this beautiful healing and this release that was ready. You were so ready for it to come out of you. And now let's step into who you truly are.
Amazing. And how do you help guide them to the clarity of who they truly are, of their true essence, when they have now shed the chains of their past traumas, they have now shed the limiting beliefs, they've silenced the inner critic, and now you're bringing them into that process of coming home to themselves and really deciding who they choose to be, what they choose to value, and how they choose to show up in the world. So what is that process like?
Well, that process is going to be different for different people and where they're at in that journey. So if you allow me to go through, they might come to me for an Empowering You session, a one-on-one. They might have come to me in a themed group session where it's like a whole group of people would have the same limiting belief, right? We'd start with that. Or they might have come to one of my circles or a workshop or a program. And that's why I'm saying there's many different levels of what I do, because it's all gathering these same people, these leaders, these world changers, these people that know there's something more. And then when they get into my circle, what part are you on? What level are you at? So say somebody came to me and they were at the place where like they have a thriving business, they are a healer, they're doing great work with clients, they're even making X amount of money, but they know there's something more. They've listened, they have this feeling, they might even have it in their body where there's this thing. And they come to me and okay, well, now you're in a different way than somebody that was unaware, right? And so as they come to me, we work through that. Like, where are you at? What's the limiting belief? It's still going to come back to like, there's an incongruency somewhere, right? There's a gap. I say that I want this thing. So maybe it's like, I want to live on the beach somewhere, but I'm not up leveling to that point where I could live on the beach. And I'm like, you just haven't tapped in or tuned into what's the emotion that you want. When you're on that beach, what is that thing? How are you going to feel when you have that? And now it's like that North Star becomes like the light is shining so brightly because that's the emotion they're heading towards, not the thing. So to go back to the original question, and I apologize for going off on that tangent.
No. I think that was really, really powerful. So I'm glad that you went there, that you followed your intuition. I think having that North Star, and I want to reiterate that because I think it is a really important point for our audience. When the North Star is your emotion, is the desired feeling, is the desired sensation, when that takes over and you are guided by that driving emotion rather than a tangible thing or an outcome, that's a really powerful point, that you become unstoppable and nothing will get in your way, right? When your why is that powerful, when you're driven by that emotion and you know how you want to feel and you're so clear on that and aligned on that, then no obstacle's going to get in your way. You're going to go straight for it, and your guiding light, your North Star, will be so bright. It illuminates the way, and all of a sudden, instead of seeing obstacles, you see solutions, you see opportunities. So I love that you mentioned that, and I would love for you to continue.
Okay, so I couldn't say it any better than you just did. That is beautiful. When we align with the emotion we want at the end. So even vision boards, people right now are doing vision boards like crazy. I do an emotional vision board. I do a lot of different workshops. One is that Dare to Dream, where you're really tapping into what is it I truly want. But then we go that next step, and especially this time of year where it's that vision board. And how will I feel when I get all those things? So if it is that beach home, who's with you? How do you feel? What are you talking about? What is that emotion happening? And so you really visualize it and you step into what that dream is. But if you say that you want to have this loving relationship with your spouse, and you're not actually even having a conversation with them, or there's some incongruency there, that's the gap that we have to be aware of, right? So again, get really clear on what your North Star is, but then make sure you're aligned to it. It can't be that North Star because somebody else told you that's the dream, that's the prize at the end of the life. It has to align with your heart and soul, your essence. When you can click on that, you'll know it, because it's like, boom, it hits you right there. It's powerful. It's connected. It's like you've tuned into a frequency that you can't let go of. Even if you get off kilter, it's going to feel like off kilter. It's like, whoa, that doesn't feel right. I got to come back. And eventually you're going to get so strong on what that is. And it's all part of the process, guys. Like, this didn't happen to me overnight. It's not going to happen to you overnight. But consistent searching for what brings you back to you. What is that message in you? How are you aligned to your true essence? What is that? Acknowledging it and stepping into it with more power. When you said earlier, Ellie, that I wear many hats and I have many things that I do, there is times that limiting belief says to me, Debbie, you have many things. But when I go back to doing this vision board of what's the emotion I want, at the top of everything is empowering women and entrepreneurs and healers to make the world a better place. And then there's many things that I do down below. And really what I'm doing is lifting people up so that there is a level of a healer and empower, somebody that's going to reach every level of person on this planet. So I'm not meant to speak to every person, but I promise that anybody that's struggling, there is somebody for you. And so I want to have that warriors, that army of people that really do and can connect with everybody. And that's why it's so important for me, for them to find their true gift. What lights you up? When I can find somebody that's like tapping into that and they're getting excited about it, and then they get in their own way, and then I have, that's my job to help them get out of their own way and truly go forward. There's always going to be limiting beliefs and fears. When I can do that and I see all of those people that they're connecting with and bringing up and helping them be an empowered soul, that's everything. But at the top of all that I do, it's about empowering others to live their best life and create that best life, not just live what somebody else told you to, but tapping into, like you said, your North Star, where you know what it is. You know who you are. You know what you were destined to do. You know your purpose. You know your calling, because it's calling you hard. And that's when I feel like I've really done my job. When you know all of that and you've tapped into that and it is just got you. And then the people that are meant for you, it's like a magnetic, I was going to say miracle. It is. It just really is, like all these people just show up, because when you know who you are, the people you're meant to serve show up in a huge way. So everything you're doing is just getting clearer on who you are, because then you can step into it confidently, courageously, boldly, and just continue on. Like, did I ever think I would be on a show like this? No. If it would have been about me, I would have hidden a long time ago. This isn't about me. It's about the people that I'm serving and helping along the way.
Absolutely. So how do you refill your own cup? How do you carve space for yourself to ensure that you are taking that downtime for yourself, that you're engaging in self-care, and that you are restoring, reflecting, replenishing, recalibrating, so that you can go forth and continue to serve on such a high level?
Thank you for that. It's part of the receiving, and I teach this as well. When you're not filling up your own cup, you still have a blockage in your receiving muscle. And so really it's about intentionally receiving. And because I use energy, it is really just opening up that field and allowing all that nourishment, love, peace, energy into me and through me. But there is times that I forget to do that. And so things that remind me, again, are my grandchildren. They remind me to play. Nature reminds me of how beautiful the world is, and that we can receive the love and the nourishment and the acceptance and the sounds. Photography is one of my things. I did it as a living for several years. It's now again back into that hobby where I just If I need to see the world from a beautiful point of view, I grab my camera and I can literally go out and see beauty in everything, and that fills up my cup. I use pure essential oils to help me stay grounded and in that receiving mode. So again, they lift your frequency up. So if you're, hanging around people that are a little bit on the negative side and you have to work a little harder at staying in that higher vibration, then I have little tricks to do that for me. But everything comes back to that alignment. I know when I'm out of alignment. I know because I'm back into do it mode. I'm pushing and I'm pulling and I'm wishing I could get more done and I'm not feeling quite adequate enough. And that's always where I have to step back and say, it's not about you, Debbie, just receive it. Like you're just working for the divine and you have everything you need right inside of you. So again, hanging around people like our communities, our tribes are so important. Many nights I fall asleep with, that in my ear where I'm listening to that type of guidance that's literally filling up my cup and helping me stay grounded and centered in who I am.
Such powerful tips that I think are really applicable to all of us that we can all use. So it's coming to the end of your life best lived. What do you want to be known for? What's the legacy you want to leave behind?
Wow, that's a huge question and I love it. And I'm going to be really brave and vulnerable here. I want to be known for being that empowerment. I don't like titles, but I want to be known for that person that truly stepped up, did the things. And I see us as we literally have this empowerment program up top that's worldwide, it's global, it already is. And we have healers in there that are stepping up and doing the work in ways that they didn't even think was possible. And then that person is helping others. And I'm known for the person that was the catalyst for change, the person that built communities, is a leader, is a humanitarian, knows how to, find and pull that out of you, what your calling is, what your mission is, and help you level up in ways that you didn't think was possible or you had a limiting belief around it. And now you have that total joy, peace, living your best life. And we're all doing that. But at the same time, the circle gets bigger. So we have empowerment circles in different communities so that they're one-on-one. We have global, virtual. We are leading in ways that is that volunteerism where people are going into villages and helping others. We're building schools. We have academies. We have programs of taking women from human trafficking and domestic violence and child abuse. And the program that I'm working with, I'm the director of strategic partnerships, and it's called We Empower ACEs. And it all starts because we believe that adverse childhood experiences is one of the things that's holding people back now. And a lot of people don't recognize that is what at the core of all of their limiting beliefs or victimhood or excuses is what happened when they were a child. And so we want to take these women through these programs so that they are free of all of those. And then generationally, it changes. So it's one person at a time, but generations at a time. And we feel we're going to heal forwards and backwards. So
what a legacy that will be. I cannot wait for all of the unfolding and to see all of the lives that you are touching and that you will continue to touch intergenerationally and internationally. What a legacy that will be. So as we start to wrap up today, are there any parting thoughts or messages that you would love to share with the audience?
So anything is possible. If you can dream it, you can step into it and you can receive it. So that's my biggest thing and I love to do my Dare to Dream sessions where we're really helping you begin to dream again, really step into what is it that I really wanted? Maybe it was as a child. But then from that point on, I want you guys to realize, everybody in the world to realize that it's your emotions that are driving your bus. So if you can master your emotions, when you can choose, when you can come from that empowered place for everything, your life will change. You will be the creator of your life instead of the endurer of your life. You will step into your power in ways that you cannot even imagine. What's happened to me is beyond my imagination, and I just continue to follow the joy and the light and say yes to the opportunities, and I want that for each and every one of you as well.
So how can people learn more about your work and connect with you?
Well, thank you for that. I am Debbie Prediger across all socials. So you can find me on Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn on those, as well as you can find me on my website at thehealinghouse.online.
Thank you so much for being here. Till next time.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of You Are Not Your Scars. Be sure to implement the tools and strategies shared today as you create a limitless life. Know that you are worthy, you are resilient, you are unbreakable, and you are unstoppable. Find more episodes of this podcast at youarenotyourScarsPodcast.com. While you may have been forged by fire, you are free by design.